welcome to Cosmos with Bailey. I'm Bailey and I'm a clairvoyant psychic medium and spiritual healer based in New Zealand. Welcome. So I feel like I've sort of found my groove on YouTube. It's taken me a while and now I sort of found my own unique flair and my own way of doing things, which feels really good, and I feel a bit more better on it. And it's been quite a journey to even begin YouTube in the first place after having no social media whatsoever and really enjoying it. So today's video is going to be on the psychic reasoning of copycats and also how your auric energy works with that and becoming aware of your auric energy. So I think we all know those types of people that somehow seem to copy everything we do. And, it's the clothing, it's the business idea, it's or if it's the blogs, or if it's the vlogs, or if it's the garden, or if it's fashion, or if it's your way of being or your entire essence. There's always going to be someone out there who's going to try and emulate something subconsciously to make up for something that they don't have. So with copycats, and this is just my experience, and I've talked to a few other people over the years with the auras and psychic energies and how this happens and how bizarre it is. And I was talking to a friend once over in Australia, and he's very, very in tune and very clairvoyant, but he doesn't work as a psychic. And he was saying how a family member, he had this idea and he hadn't told the family member. And he wanted to purchase a house in nature, in the outback somewhere in nature. And then all of a sudden, this family member said, oh yeah, I want to go and purchase this plot of land and blah, blah, blah. It was the same area that he wanted to be in. And he said that this family member does it all the time. And he learned to not tell this family member what he was thinking and feeling or wanting, because she would emulate and copy and take that idea from him. I then talked, a lot of my very close friends are also highly intuitive and also have this happen to them. And, you know, they say, Billy, I'm not going to tell anyone what I'm up to anymore, because everyone takes my ideas and then they run with it and then they call it their own business. And they take the names, and even if the person didn't, if you block this person or, you know, you don't talk to this person, they somehow psychically know what you're up to. And it happened to me just recently, where I realized someone had tried to take my whole entire life path and then make it theirs, and almost like trying to take my essence of who I was and tried to almost take it for themselves. And it was a very odd experience, and yeah, it was really, yeah. So I'm going to talk about the auric energy. We all have an aura, and this is encompassing our soul and our spirit, our energy body, and our energy system. And what goes on in the aura is our thoughts, our feelings, our intuitions, and then also if you don't clear your aura, you can get very bombarded with other people's thoughts, ideas, and awarenesses, and also what's going on in their aura. So a lot of people on this earth do not have clear and concise auric and psychic boundaries. And when that happens, people's energy tends to go off. And because energy is not combined by time and space, energy works through the internet, it works through psychic realms. You cannot be in contact with someone. And there's just many ways as to how someone could have access to your energy without you realizing, because the psychic realms are so vast. And as I said, you don't know what's going on in someone else's aura, and if they don't have boundaries or a very, really, really strong sense of self and the ability to say no thank you and know what they do want with soul and don't want with soul, people will routinely try and copy or emulate your auric essence because they don't have a strong sense of self or their spirit self to begin with. And so what happens is people create these personas. And usually you can see it in people who, they sort of jump from one thing to the next. And there's no stability or common sense or clarity within their energy. And usually this attributes to built-up trauma, and there could be, built-up trauma. If you don't clear your childhood and your teens, you're going to just, we get really lost in our childhood and teens, especially if we've had not maybe unsupportive parents, and you can just, your life force can sort of just stay stuck in your teens. And I was thinking about how in my teens, I was really, really dissociated from the body. I've actually just come out of clearing my teens, and it was really empowering for me. And I sort of gained back all this power that I had lost through not being able to stand up for myself. And a lot of my work revolves around teen healing, and it's very, very, very important to go back and collect the life force from really disempowering experiences in our teens so you can be an integrated adult. Otherwise, you're still going to keep playing out your teen energy. Including your early 20s and like bad relationships and stuff like that you've had. But I was thinking about my teens and how I emulated. I was really dissociated from my body. And this is how you get people who copycat and try on personas and whatnot, or create these personas online, or take bits and pieces from other people's unique essence and try and make a persona. In my teens, in order to sort of escape what I was experiencing, I was completely spiritually dissociated from my body to begin with, and I used the internet as a way of coping with my circumstances. And what I did was I got really into Tumblr and Bebo, and showing my age there. And on Tumblr, I got very fixated with these bad girl images. And if you go back and watch my video, How Do We Get Butch Women? This is how we get butch women, because we're not connected to the divine feminine spirit to begin with. We incarnate, and when we don't have that strong connection to the divine feminine, and we become very hardened in our feminine essence, and we can become butch. And it's very interesting. And I got really fixated on these Tumblr girls that were punk and ripped tights and bleached hair, and I couldn't do that because I went to private school. And but I was fixated on creating this image to escape because I didn't know who I was. So it's normal in your teens to do that, but in your adulthood, you've got to sort of get that strong sense of self. And I was thinking about copycats and how that happens, how people take, because I was just sort of regurgitating these images from online and trying to create an idea about myself. And basically what happens with copycats is they take bits of people's auric energies, and then they say, I am a psychic now, or I am this, this, and this. And there is a high element of delusion. Especially if there's a lot of backed up trauma or there's childhood abuse. There's massive dissociation from the physical body and the physical vessel. There is high levels of delusion, and you can't see reality for what it is. And I was going to touch on narcissism as well. But when people sort of borrow your essence like that, sometimes you need to go and get it back. And the reason why I'm so adamant with psychic boundaries and spiritual discernment is because you want to make sure that other people's energy is not playing in your aura and taking your energy for themselves. And it's very subconscious. As I said, some people do it on purpose. Other people don't know what they're doing. It's very subconscious. They're very lost. They don't know they're lost. You may have a stronger sense of your spirit than this person, and on some level they feel that. And they maybe want that, and so they will try and take it for themselves, and thus you get an auric copycat. And it's almost like trying to put someone else's essence over your own essence, and trying to portray that, and then it's almost trying to trick people, I think, into making them believe you're this confident, onto it person. Really, that's the polar opposite. So, and that also something to do with the ego consciousness too. So in order to, and I've talked about this in my live videos, if you want to go under the tab live, how to cultivate true confidence, you've got to work with life force and the spirit. And insecurity is essentially very uncultivated life force. And Yeah, so that's how you get copycats, and they sort of just take bits and pieces from your aura. They'll try and take your entire persona, or they'll sort of see you as this ideal and try and almost put your essence over theirs because they don't have the ability to cultivate that for themselves, but they do. A lot of people are very not aware that they can sort of change their expression or how they know reality, but that also takes a backbone and also the want to change yourself, because there's so many people incarnated on this earth that can help you reach higher potential and clear out trauma. It's a really big thing on this earth right now, that there are so many amazing healers and people incarnated to help clear trauma, because it keeps the soul stuck in disempowerment. So usually when there's copycats, there's high levels of trauma, subconscious borrowing, lack of self, high delusional personas, trauma and directionless, and not in tune with the true spirit self. They're in tune with the trauma and loss of self instead. And that's spirit dissociation from the body when there's copycatting going on. Because when you truly embody your spirit, you don't need to copycat. And you know who you are, and you know what you like. And even if you don't feel you know you're on a journey to discovering that. And it takes time as well to find that within you. I'd say like your teens and your 20s. You're still figuring that out, Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about narcissism. I don't like using the term narcissism. I think it's not very nice to point fingers and call people narcissistic. I also feel, though, that people use that term to understand things and help them understand what's going on, which I understand why someone would need to use that. But from my understanding and working as an energy healer, narcissism is that the energetic body is so, and the aura, usually when there's copycatting, the aura is very, very full of attachments, entities, or like energies from other people. This is why I'm a stickler for owning your energy and clearing your energy. I've got something on my Etsy shop, which I'll have a website up soon, that can clear your auric energy and get your chakras going. And it's essentially giving yourself a mini healing. And it's called the Life Force Clearing Meditation, I think. And it's the multifaceted colored one, which I'll link below. But essentially, narcissism is an energy body and a person very, very disconnected from the soul. And it's very, very common. And the reason why we're calling it out so much right now is because we're evolving. We're evolving out of that, and we don't want to play the games of that consciousness anymore. And essentially, high levels of narcissism is also a very high egoic persona that will just go round and round and round in circles in its trauma and not want to do anything about it. And you don't know someone's soul journey. You don't know when they're destined to awaken. You don't know their free will choice. You don't know, what's going on there. And that's why I don't like pointing fingers and saying narcissism. It's not a nice thing to do, but I understand it. And narcissism is an energy body, and the chakra system is super shut down. People aren't aware of their chakras. I've also seen people with high levels of delusion say they are psychics and healers, and they haven't done the necessary basic healing of mother-father wounds, childhood healing, and teen healing, and they have just created this sort of, I think you see it a lot in the New Age stuff, personas of spiritual healers and whatnot, and they haven't actually done any clearing of trauma whatsoever. It takes a good 3 to 4 years to actually clear out that type of trauma and past lives and whatnot. There's no quick fix when it comes to working with spiritual energies. So, narcissism is essentially a shut down energetic body and very disconnected from the higher self, almost, but they're having their experience in their needed consciousness. And it's an auric body that's very, very full of density and dense, heavy, negative energies. A lot of the times people refuse to sort of face what's really going on, and so they'll distract themselves with drama, interfering in other people's relationships and lives, instead of focusing on themselves. When there's really high levels of interference in other people's lives, that person is not wanting to look at their own life and fix what's going on. It's much more easier to look at something outside of you and say, this person has that, but I'm going to take it from them. So that's sort of a sense of delusion at the same time, because that person's not realizing they need to change what's going on within. They think they can just sort of change out the external and they'll feel better, but that's not how it works. And narcissism is unawareness of self. Narcissism is only working off the physical realm, and there's no awareness of the inner realms. It's taken me a while to get to this because I've had a lot of really, really disheartening experiences with people who are not so aware. And it's taken me a while to come to forgiveness and understanding, and to not play the blame game, because that's very disempowering. So, yeah, that's what I think about copycats, the auric energy, and narcissism. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope that was helpful.